please check out our sponsor, Lear Capital. That's Lear Capital, the precious metals leader. Buy gold, buy silver, do it today. Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're tuning into AMTV, Alternative Media Television. It is, of course, Monday, April 27th, 2015. And in the news today, Apple Computer will be reporting after the bell. Some analysts expecting Apple to be the first trillion-dollar-plus company in the not-too-distant future in regards to its market capitalization. Apple currently twice the size of its largest secondary Dow component, that being tech giant Microsoft, twice as large as ExxonMobil. And it's as if not just analysts, but Americans in the world feel this company is invincible. The NASDAQ reaching a climax, a new all-time high, and a total lack of fear in the market. Again, this idea of invincibility. You know, this harkens me back to the 1980s. Another tech giant at the time, IBM, people also thought was invincible, was also twice the size in terms of market capitalization than its nearest competitor. Only at the time for a very smart individual, a man by the name of Steve Jobs, to kind of build another company and kind of really grab some of the information and technology from IBM and launch his own company that soon became known as the tech giant we all know today. You know, this whole idea of this mania, of this invincibility, of this, potential trillion-dollar company like Apple single-handedly is going to lead America out of the greatest of great depressions. Apple computers and the Apple Watch is single-handedly going to lead Europe out of the greatest of great depressions. You know, if we look across the pond, for example, Greece, which, by the way, Greece banks rallying hard today, rallying firm. Banks like the National Bank of Greece, Piraeus Bank, I believe up 16% when I looked at it last, 8% for NBG, rallying because they're expecting collapse. Rallying because they're expected not to pay back the debt from the previous two bailouts. And they're now openly, at least from the reports I've seen in the headlines, going to start confiscating and or forgiving debt from its lowest rung of society. We also saw this in a more direct form of stealing in Cyprus not too long ago. We saw this with the Swiss franc and the Switzerland bank, central bank, really decoupling from the shenanigans that made up the Federal Reserve policies and the whore bagging that has made up 0% interest rates and this quantitative easing in places like Europe. Notice that there's a complete lack of fear in the market today. Not only is the S&P 500 and Dow Jones Industrial Average tripled, we're reaching new all-time highs. The NASDAQ is exploding. It's as if we haven't learned from any of our history or past mistakes. It's like 2008 never happened. That black swan didn't even exist. It was just a pre-engineered financial collapse that stole money from you and me and then just pushed it to the super elite, who, by the way, have doubled their financial wealth since the collapse. Yes, interest rates are still at zero. Yes, the national debt has exploded, twice the size of its original size, courtesy of Barack Obama. Yeah, we're living in a world of an upside-down pyramid, which we can never pay back the debt or support these social programs, these things like Social Security, Medicare, etc. But everything's friggin' great. Because Apple single-handedly, according to these people on Wall Street, is going to lead us out of the greatest of great depressions. I mean, how many of these new tech devices do we really need? Honestly, if you give me a call right now, not only will my cell phone go off, my laptop will go off, my desktop will go off, and my iPad will go off. Do I really need a fifth device, an Apple Watch, to tell me, for example, that I'm getting an incoming call from grandma? Do I really need the implementation, more importantly, the implantation of the RFID chip? Do I really need to live in this dazed and confused tech world where I'm living in my own individually created paradigm courtesy of Google, and they're also feeding me ads so they can make billions of dollars annually? Do I really need all this shit, and is it really good for our society? Again, if we learn from any of our past mistakes, you know, this whole thing is a giant illusion, and it's going to explode. We're going to have a larger and greater and more dangerous black swan event in the not too distant future because nobody thinks it can happen. There's this mania on Wall Street. Again, we are entering very dangerous territory, folks. It's why I always ask that you prepare. It's why I ask you to consider things like precious metals, gold. Check out our sponsor, Lear Capital, for example. It's why I encourage you to invest in collectibles, art, land. Diversify your financial picture as we approach this inevitable situation. Whether or not you want to call it the Black Swan, you want to call it a collapse, you want to call it Great Depression, round 2 or 3. Again, we don't know the timing. We don't know when the Black Swan hits, but we know we're not invincible. After all of us, the financial elite, these politicians, these banksters, they're only human. And it will come to an end. There will be another shock. I'm Christopher Green. Get this video out everywhere, make it viral, hard hitting it in your face, and click the link below to support our sponsor.